Ladies and gentlemen, it is rather interesting that I was invited, shockingly, to come and talk about such a robust aspect of the law, which a lot of lawyers in Nigeria have inadvertently and unfortunately left alone. It is robust in the sense that it is very interesting, and I can't even, with my engagement in the business, say, okay, I can point to 4 law firms that specialize in sports law, for example. Maybe the money is not good enough, but we have to build it up. But I'm without a doubt convinced that we all enjoy the entertainment we get on Nollywood and our sporting events and comedies. And my able brother, Olu Akwata, was telling us this evening that we have Korede, Bello, MI, and all of them performing. And I said to him, if we were to go to an African airport and I have my big brother, Chief Ogbuefi, Onwa, Osi Okocha, JP at the airport, who would you pick first, Davido or Chief Okocha? That is the level of the popularity of these young people. However, on a very serious note, all is not well with the industry. And it is not news that this industry has a lot of challenges. And these challenges impede the development of this industry. Now, I'll categorize them as I'll give them about 4 or 5 headings, which I'm sure the speakers will elaborate upon, especially Mr. Mofe Damijo. The first issue is copyright, piracy. That is the major crux of the problem. The second is sanctity of contract. The third is funding. Then lack of adequate structure, which we need. That will be in terms of sporting activities in Nigeria. I'm not restricting it to football. Even in those days, we had Budipo Shikoya and all these other formidable athletes from Nigeria, but that is lacking because the facilities do not exist anymore. So you see Nigerians at the last athletic events in Beijing, Nigerians wearing country shirts of Qatar, and I would even understand if you said England, but Qatar, it is going to that extent. So, but that is because we don't have enough structures. We have funding issues. And after Bollywood, Nollywood is the second biggest film industry, producing over 50,000 films a week, with a market industry worth about $40 billion. That is serious money. I mean, $40 billion is a lot of money. I cannot imagine how many contracts you draft to get that type of amount of money, and that is what is in the movie and comedy industry. So I think we're going to have a very good and interesting time today, and we'll also look at the legal framework, taking into consideration also that one aspect that we all as lawyers must bear in mind is that technology always overtakes the law. So if you pass a law today to take care of this particular aspect in this field, technology will overtake it in under 6 months. So these are aspects I believe our panelists will take us through, and I wish you all have a good time and enjoy the discourse. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my co-chair. We set the ball rolling, and I was a bit worried when I saw Deromi going up with a prepared speech, because he's a co-chair and not a speaker, but being a guru in the industry, he just had to say the things that he has said. So thank you very much, sir. Let me call on Richard Mofe Damijo, veteran actor and producer. Olu has made the right introductions, Please give him a round of applause. Thank you. So you can carry on, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair and Co-Chair. I believe protocols have already been established here, so I'll just go straight. How many minutes? 2, 3? Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I'm the chairman, so I will decide. So Richard, you can start with 2 minutes first.
Okay, I'll just do this quick. My work really today was to give you the journey so far with regards to Nollywood. So I don't think that in 2 minutes I need to bore you with how, Ogunde
No,
started.
take five.
Okay, how Ogunde started or how Adelov
Just carry on, just carry on.
Or how Kenneth Nebwe did Living in Bondage.
No, you are doing that already. Take 5. Don't worry. Take 5.
And how Kenneth Nebwe did, Living in Bondage, and of course, later on, Peter Doche and Co came, RMD came, Liz Benson, Genevieve, Omotola, all of that you already know, I'm sure. So what I need to do is to say, our work is to ask, is there need for legal services within the industry? The answer is yes. In fact, the figures that I had from my research before Deobi came up here to speak was less than 40 billion. I mean, I was going to be throwing $5 billion to you and 1.7 trillion naira as what we are worth between 2013 and 2014. So there is a disconnect between us as entertainers and of course lawyers, because we have not been able to identify or demystify the entire industry. But let me tell you how short the disconnect is between people who practice this and those of you on the other side. Is the distance between where this chair is and the stage. And all it needs is for somebody to just walk this short distance, and of course you will now have access to 1.7 trillion, if that is what you want to believe, or $5 billion every year, if that is what you want to believe, or $40 billion every year, if you want to believe. Now, there are questions that I would like to ask, lawyers that are here. What is the net worth of Davido, for instance, since he mentioned him? How do you convert the power of Wizkid, who today is perhaps one of our best musical ambassadors or ambassadors in the country? How do you convert, let me make it, bring it to this hall, how do you convert the number of pictures that I have to take with my colleagues to money? If for every time that I stand in front of Glow and I need to do an advert and I need a lawyer to write my, Mena is laughing, I need a lawyer to come in, to negotiate on my behalf or to go through the fine prints of my contract, how much is there for the lawyer? So I believe that one of the things that we must do today is to encourage as many people as possible. I was, a few minutes ago, I was at the ICT session, and somebody was calling for lawyers to upgrade, because I had also a discussion here earlier on with a colleague, and I said that it is time for us, when we leave law school, we must upgrade. That is just to give you the basic knowledge of the law. We all are embracing technology today, and the more we embrace technology, of course, the more our society will be changing. The traditional ways for which Nollywood, you do a film, you go straight to video and you sell, all of those platforms are disappearing. Today, thank God for Mnet, we have Mnet, and we have a lot more. We have Iroko TV, we have Ibaka. I have a friend, I just finished a film in America, and the producer just sold his film for the first time, a Nigerian film. He just sold his film for $40,000. That might not look like a lot of money for people here, but if Netflix, not an exclusive deal, if Netflix can buy your movie for $40,000, immediately it covers your cost your basic cost of producing that movie. And if you sell to Ibaka, that same movie, you sell to Ibaka for $15,000, it gives you about $55,000. If you sell to another TV station that gives you $5,000, you can begin to see how the figures are climbing. So when you begin to represent people like that, or when you go into an industry that has the potential to break into all these platforms where a lot of money is rolling in, then you can imagine how much lawyers will stand to gain once we can enter there. Then there is the other side of course, government. They will mention that everything is not well in the industry. The biggest problem that we are facing in the industry, of course, is piracy. A few months ago, 30 Days in Atlanta, a film made by AY, a comedian, broke all records. I'm here to, outside of South Africa, it broke all records in Nigeria. That is, it made almost $200 million. Now that is practically unheard of for a film that is made here. It beats all the films all the James Bond films that have been screened here, all the Tom Cruise's films that have been screened here in Nigeria. So that is the potential of what we are dealing with. There is plenty of money here. I believe that is a signal that my time is up.
You still have something to say?
Yes, if I'll come back, I'll
Okay, take 2 more minutes.
Okay.
Extension of time granted.
All right. So I hear that lawyers love to hear where there is money. So
That's the
question,
point.
is there money to be made in Nollywood? Yes, there is plenty of money to be made in Nollywood. Ask Makori. Or entertainment. Ask Mena Ajapovi, there is plenty of money. Ask me, I'll tell you. As a rookie lawyer, when I left law school, the first thing I did was I met a friend who was trying to establish a channel in London for one of the bouquets in London. And I got the rights to buy content for him. And when we were done, we spent over £215,000. And so you can do the math. Even if it was a 5% or a 10% that I got from his end, and of course from the end of the producers that were here, that I had to indemnify all the things, indemnify the stations from buying. It gives you an idea of what a rookie lawyer made straight out of law school in like 2 weeks. My wig was still so fresh at the time. And it just said to me at the point that perhaps I had begun a journey that was going to lead me to a place where there will be a lot more money. So that we don't start looking at only marine and all of that. There is plenty of dollars and pounds and euros in the entertainment industry.
Thank you very much, Richard. Thank you. What you have just started this afternoon is, I'm looking at faces now, and I'm sure every time they put on their TV to watch African Magic, they will be thinking about the money. Thank you very much, Richard. A round of applause for him, please. Thank you.
Please don't be deceived.
Let me call immediately on another colleague of ours. Mr. Yahya Maikori of Law Alliance, to give us his perspective. Welcome, sir. Round of applause for him, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've been thrown away by the shortage of time, and I think I'm going to cut my slides and get straight to it. I think one of the biggest problems here is really about how lawyers can engage in this industry. And of course, several times I've had lawyers stop me and ask, how do I get involved in the entertainment industry? I think I can tell you a bit about how we started, how we got involved, and really it was a bit about strategy. Years after I was called to bar, I wasn't practicing anyway, but we started our law firm. We were trying to get some traction. We weren't making much progress. We said, okay, well, they're talking about specialization. How do you specialize? And then we started reading, checking, reading the internet, going through the internet, and eventually I stumbled on Richard Branson's book. In the meantime, my brother, who's also a lawyer, was involved somehow in the music industry, but not fully. We never saw like something we could fully engage in. So the next thing was, okay, how do you get involved in the entertainment industry? Living in Abuja. That was 10 years ago. So we knew nothing was really happening in Abuja, that's one. Secondly, we also knew that, okay, good. We also knew that really there's no industry then. We know that most of the industries, record industries that existed in the 80s have folded up. Okay. I didn't know we were allowed to make a presentation. Anyway, and so we decided, okay, what are we going to do? The next thing was to do, let's divide ourselves. I will stick to the law since I was older, a bit more matured. He was younger, he could do the music itself. And so, in between, both of us have been lawyers and into the music industry. Now, why did I tell this story? Because you can't just want to be an entertainment lawyer and stick to law. You need to be part of the industry. And being part of the industry means monitoring it, keeping yourself abreast with the trends, being involved in the industry, attending workshops, attending events, knowing the artist, building relationships. It's a long story. It's sleepless nights. I barely got married when I remember I was in the studio with Jeremiah again till 4 a.m. recording, remixing his music. So it's a long journey, but it can be a very, very financially rewarding journey as well. I just want to also talk about Clive Davis. Most of you who know anything about music would have heard of Clive Davis. He's probably the most successful producer in the music industry. He's been CEO of Sony Music, CEO of RCA. Name almost every important pop artist, he has been responsible for their careers. And he started as a lawyer, working as a lawyer in a law firm. At some point, he was now brought in as an in-house counsel. And after a while, he realized that, see, he had an ear for music. He had actually trained his ear to listen to music. And that's how he started actually even picking songs for artists, co-writing songs for artists. And he went to talk of Whitney Houston, talk of Alicia Keys, name almost anybody who matters in the music industry. Clive Davis has been responsible for their successes. So what am I saying? There's an opportunity, but the counsel would also sacrifice. You can't sit down in your office and want to be an entertainment lawyer. Nobody's going to work to you to give you that brief. That's one. Secondly, people are also skeptical about lawyers. You have to understand that this is an industry that's actually a youth-dominated industry. And so once you call a lawyer, anybody who is in his teens is scared of a lawyer. So you need to build a relationship. You need to build relationships with these people. The other thing I just really want to add was simply this, that among the trends, because I didn't know I was going to be allowed to to go through the slides, but look at the trends. Last year, there was endorsements worth $1 billion among the telcos. So they endorsed artists worth $1 billion. How much went to Nigerian lawyers? I honestly do not know. But you can rest assured that somebody brokered those fees. Now, how do you get a bit of that? You need to be engaged, you need to build relationships, you need to get these people right from when they are starting, build them up, give them direction, win their trust before you can be able to take a piece of that pie. That's only one side of it. They said in 2012, the music industry was worth 8.5 billion naira. That's a huge amount of money. Even if it was just 5% of that went to the law, to lawyers, that's about 450 million naira. And yet some of us here today are not working with 1,000 naira in our pockets. So we need to be part of the process to build it, to build the industry before we can get the benefits that come from it. Now, all the record labels that came in, who left like years ago, I'm talking about Sony Music, I'm talking about Polygram, they're all trying to come back to Nigeria. Sony is making efforts to come back to Nigeria. UMG is making efforts. Tidal, owned by Jay-Z, is already making efforts to get into Nigeria. Even iTunes before, which couldn't use a Nigerian debit card, is open. They even have a Nigerian chart. The platforms in which you can make money are several. Let's look at the Sound City. There's Hip TV. Most 80% of the African content comes from Nigeria. Let's look at YouTube. P Square. The highest, we don't talk about the most views on YouTube, is 24 million views for P Square's Chop My Money. Anybody who knows anything about advertising knows that's a huge amount of money. What other platforms are you talking about? We have Spinlet, who are helping with streaming. We have Deezer. We have blogs that are selling music. So there are so many platforms in which we can align with and make money providing services as lawyers. Thank you.
Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, whilst when we started, some notable members of the panel came in. Mr. Afam Ezekude, who is the Director General Nigerian Corporate Commission. Please come up. Mr. Afam, please. I'm not. Okay, can we have Mr. Tilewa Adibajo, please? Mr. Tilewa Adibajo, is he in the hall? That's Mr. Afam. But Mr. Tilewa Adibajo. Tilly. That's super stores, stationery stores of those days. Dr. Ikechukwu Obi Naya, please. Obiaya. And my friend Charles Igwe, please. Okay, thank you. Can we have the veteran sportsman and sports activist and manager, Mr. Amaju Pinnick, please. President NFF. Before he goes on stage there, maybe I should just also mention that I can see people are leaning towards comedy movies. If you were to sell 6 Nigerian footballers at 50 million pounds each, work out the maths.
Protocols, please. Well, I feel very excited to be standing before this very august gathering. You know, when you're talking to lawyers, you have to be very careful. I am so excited, and I also want to congratulate the leadership of the Nigerian Bar Association for taking your conference to the proverbial, I think, next level by developing and gathering these very rich people and very rich content. Well, the A to Z of my discourse is principally to say that lawyers should get more involved in sports. Sports is huge business. If I were to coin this topic, my coinage would have been very simple: ignoring a potential gold mine in sports business by the Nigerian legal confraternity. That would have just been it. But like you said, I'm going to be very laconic, so I'll just go straight to the point, you know. I'll put a couple of things together, but it's just to say that what we have, and Mr. Chairman, I'll just crave your indulgence to permit me to pander towards sports or possibly football, like they say in law, mutadis, mutadi. It applies to the other areas. Well, what I've done is basically to say that sports is, of course, entertaining, it's for recreation, and of course, is a career line for so many people. Sports are governed by regulations, clearly governed by regulations. Regulations are prescribed rules for governing of sports. And of course, we should ask ourselves, who are the best suited to draft these bodies together? Of course, they are lawyers. It is a profession best suited to craft this, and it's known worldwide. In 1995, the face of sports changed in the world when there was a professional footballer from Belgium named Jim Bosman. Went to a sports lawyer, told him that players were being enslaved And so he wanted the lawyer to come to their aid. And of course, they took the case to court, and the European Court granted him. And of course, that changed it, and FIFA now codified it to mean what's called players transfer and player status. Initially, when a player plays for a club like Manchester United, when you are leaving the club, you are asked, for example, to pay some certain money, but this man redefines sports. But once your contract expires, you leave that club without paying anything. According to Sports Business, is an authority magazine, the magazine authority in football, in sports. In US alone, a total of $50 billion is generated annually from sports. Let us take a cursory look at, say, 10% of it for your legal fees for developing content, very rich content for the client. That gives $5 billion to pockets of major legal luminaries in London, in the US. So we should understand that law has come of age. And in Nigeria, the potentials are limitless, especially now that the coming of this new football federation, where we are thinking towards corporate Nigeria, where we are looking at areas where we can build a bond, a relationship that will develop sports to the highest level. Now, let us look at the scope. FIFA recognized what's called the Court of Arbitration for Sports, which is headquartered in Lausanne, and you must be grounded in sports for you to be a member of the Court of Arbitration of Sports. Of the total number of Nigerians, technically we have about 170 million Nigerians right now. Only 4 Nigerians have been in that list. Prince Bolaji Ajibola, okay, the legal officer in the Nigerian Football Federation. There are 2 current members, only out of 140 million Nigerians. And of course, laws are run based on the fact that if the CAS is adjudicated only for sports matters, adjudicate only sports matters. So we need to build a relationship, we need to network, and we need to grow. A school of thought has said that any lawyer can just wake up and go to CAS or involve in sports law. I'll tell you emphatically that is no. For you to be able to involve in sports law, you should be able to be grounded in sports law. You should be able to be grounded in sports law. It is very, very key. It's very, very pivotal. And we should understand that. Because for you to be able to get in that list in CAS, you must have certain parameters in sports law. Our population, I've always advocated, is our greatest strength. Our population, and Jim Morgenthau in his book, Politics Among Nations, has said that one of the key elements in sports, to make a country a superpower, is that of population, which of course we have in abundance. We have both the quality and the quantity of the population. And if you look at the number of clubs we have in Nigeria, for example, the Premier League clubs alone in Nigeria, there are 20 Premier League clubs. There are 24 clubs in the lower division, a total of 180 clubs in the various divisions, then not to talk about the conferences, which are around the 36 states of the federation. So looking at that and coming to think of what these clubs can give in terms of bringing business to the table, we shouldn't, for example, be waiting for every 4 years for election tribunal. We shouldn't be waiting to do some petty litigations. We should look at ways of building relationship with these various clubs as a way of developing rich content for them. I give you an example. How many people knows, for example, that if somebody like Ronaldo or Messi is signing a contract, in their contract, it can be stated that they are the only ones that can take set pieces. They come to training the way they like. You must develop rich content for your clients, and that attracts you to the biggest clients. Some of the richest lawyers we have today in sports business are all headquartered in West End and London, and you know exactly what that means. So we should look at partnering with the Football Federation, with the league, with the various clubs, because we are getting to a situation right now in Nigeria whereby sports business is limitless. The business of sports in Nigeria is huge. If you look at what is going on right from, and the areas we should look at concentrating in right now, areas of, for example, even up to sports marketing, medicals, doping, the potentials are limitless, the potentials are huge. So I can say emphatically that as lawyers, what is the next thing? What is the next direction that we can do to be able to get ourselves? It's just simple one thing, networking. Nothing stops lawyers from even attending the Cannes Film Festival where you network, you meet other people, going to World Cups, stay in hospitality suites, attending Formula One, attending the Grand Slams, the Roland Garros and the Flushing Meadows. Nothing stops you from doing that. Once you're able to do that, you're able to network and see the opportunities. Then coming back home, it's simple to look at what we are doing in this country, to look at the direction we are going in football in this country and see how to key into it. Lawyers can sit and develop content. Lawyers can sit and develop content for you, can call the federation, come to us, come to anybody, and you see A to Z of what we'll be able to give to you. I can tell you every day there are rooms. For example, if a club like Warrior Wolves wants to, right now they have a corporate sponsor, who prepares a contract? They are lawyers. But I always believe and I always emphasize that lawyers should emphasize and have as a matter of importance that level of that level of sports inclination in their resume. So I really want to thank you. Sorry, I'm not a lawyer. I've always dreamed to be a lawyer, but I've always believed in leadership. And by God's grace today, I'll be leading the Nigerian Football Federation. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maju. Please, a round of applause for him. He says he's not a lawyer, but he's talking very confidently and comfortably amongst lawyers. One of the secrets to be able to do that is Deputy, the Vice President of the Nigerian Football Federation, Mr. Sheye Akinwumi, is a very senior and accomplished lawyer. So they've been working together all the time. That is why Mr. Amaju is not intimidated by all of you here. Please, another round of applause for him. Thank you very much for your perspective. I don't know, Olu, do you want to? Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just thought I should preface this next round. Firstly, just to recognize Mr. Ihane Ahigbe, who is the principal partner of Ohio Ahigbe Law, Ohio Ahigbe and Co., who is also very much involved in the music industry. What is going to happen is that these gentlemen who came up stage are going to discuss all papers when we are done with the presentations. Mr. Afam Ezekude, Director General of the Corporate Council, is represented by Mr. Izilo. Tilewa Adebajo, who has already been introduced, is of the shooting stars or stationery stores fame. Dr. Ikechukwu Obiaya is a professor at the Lagos Business School. And the Lagos Business School have actually carried out studies on Nollywood. And there are doctoral students there who do their dissertation on Nollywood there, and we thought he should be here with us today. The next presentation is from the law firm Sheridan's. And I will not take your time. I would ask Mr. Rex Nwakodo, who is a partner in the law firm Sheridan's, to come and set the stage for his other partners.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, learned friends, good afternoon. As Olu said, my name is Rex Nwakodo. I lead the corporate department at Sheridan's, which is a City of London law firm. It's the leading media, leisure, and entertainment law firm, and it's been around for 60 years. It's got the relevant recognition in terms of the industry. It's created a law firm from scratch, essentially a music firm. Then there was a film and TV department added, then a sports department, then a computer games department. So essentially, I couldn't agree more with most of the speakers that you could create a media, leisure, and entertainment law firm. We certainly just don't say that. We have world-renowned clients, both individuals and organizations. And for a firm that's been going for 60 years, it's remarkably fresh in terms of adding new areas of work. Though I'm not a media lawyer or music lawyer or essentially an entertainment lawyer, my team, which is the corporate team, benefit from the fact that we work for a niche firm. In essence, the sort of work that we do in my team would involve engagements from clients to acquire Premiership football teams, buying and selling music businesses, buying and selling film and television businesses. So like Richard said, there's money to be made in this game. Our model is quite simple. We provide a bespoke service to clients which is sector focused, and we do this by ensuring that we're still a full service law firm. I mean, the sectors that we target, essentially television, film and broadcasting, sport, music, theater. As we speak, we're increasing our involvement in areas such as advertising and brands, technology, digital media, visual arts, and publishing. As I said, we are a full-service law firm, and like every successful organization, our greatest resource are, I guess, our partners and our people. We have just about 130 people, 36 partners, 10 departments, 5 traditional departments, and 5 niche areas of work. Like many other law firms, we have a dedicated Africa practice group, which I lead, which consists of teams from across the firm. But I didn't come here alone. I came with 2 of my partners, Russell Roberts, who leads the music and theater team, and Peter McEnany, who leads the film, television, and broadcasting practices. Russell will talk to you about how the firm was developed over the last 60 years from music to a full-service law firm with very little competition from anybody else in terms of a full media, leisure, and entertainment full-service offering. And after he finishes speaking, Peter will tell us about what the opportunities are, both nationally and internationally. Meanwhile, let me take this opportunity on behalf of Sheridan's to thank the president of the Nigerian Bar Association for the invitation, the chairman, the organizers of this conference, and particularly Olu Akpata and Mena Jakovi for the kind invitation. Much appreciated. Thank you very much.
I'd like to repeat Rex's comments about thanking you so much for the invitation to come along today and speak to you. I want to just concentrate on the creation and development of Sheridan's as a one-stop full service media law firm. Bernard Sheridan founded Sheridan's in the 1950s. And it was in London's swinging 60s that Bernard started to represent a number of well-known musicians, culminating with some of the biggest names in the music business by the 1970s, including Pink Floyd, amongst others. Thank you. The music-related work which the firm now does has moved on further to include even more world-renowned musicians and musical performers, including Kylie Minogue, Peter Gabriel, Robbie Williams, Sam Smith, Avicii, Leona Lewis, to name a few. It's an area for which we are now regarded as one of Europe's premier music industry teams. We also advise on some of the more significant industry deals, including the sales and purchases of a number of substantial music publishing catalogues and due diligence that goes around with that. We work across all types of music industry deals. The typical typical talent agreements for management, recording, publishing, merchandising, sponsorship, live and touring. And those latter items become all the more important as a result of piracy, which has affected us all, and the effect that's had on recorded income. We work very much involved with artists. We try and help them get deals, and our expertise is very much multimedia, multi-rights driven. Whether from the talent perspective, so musicians, songwriters, producers and others, or with the crucial help and expertise of Rex and his commercial team on the corporate side, so working with companies such as BMG Chrysalis. The music group also prides itself on having excellent connections in the music industry internationally. We've represented someone who until recently was the president of Jay-Z's Rock Nation company and is now chairman and CEO of Sony Music UK. We continue to be ranked in the top tier of UK firms in this area by Legal 500, with 6 of our team's members quoted as leading legal experts in the music industry. While recognising the music-related foundations of the firm and the importance of that continued development, it became increasingly clear that the firm needed to develop as a one-stop full-service media and entertainment firm, covering all significant areas of media entertainment. Advertising, again, as Rex has mentioned, where we look after one of the world's top advertising agencies, brands, broadcasting, computer games, digital media, film interactive, live events, including WOMAD, publishing, sport, theatre, TV and visual arts, and trademarks. There's all spin-off areas that are really important, getting artists right across the genre to trademark rights, to protect those, and becoming very important in their development success. The development of the film and TV group, which Peter heads, has been central to that expansion. They're now widely regarded as one of the leading practices and represent a wide variety of Oscar-winning producers, as well as some very bright new talent and financiers and UK government institutions. Clients include Ricky Gervais, BBC Films. As well as advising on regulatory issues, they also help clients on how to access incoming investment and identify and achieve strategic objectives. The lawyers are very much encouraged to think for themselves as an extension of their clients' business. It's absolutely vital and to be involved as an integral part of all the transactions. Again, particular expertise in multi-party cross-border film financing transactions as well. I could highlight a number of the other firms.
Time.
Sorry. I could highlight a number of firms, other sectors and practice areas, but just limit myself to the sports sector. Again, that is one where we work with a number of football, cricket, basketball, tennis and athletics people, and sports lawyers advise across the full range of legal disciplines. Just wanted to conclude really by saying that in terms of the agreements and regulations and everything that's applied, I think provided we're in a situation where income is continuing to grow in an industry, the sophistication of the agreements only helps the lawyers. In the early days, recording agreements were maybe 3 or 4 pages long. They're now sometimes up to 70 or 80 pages. That's helped in those circumstances. It's certainly assisted in the growth of it. Beyond that, I just wanted to again say thank you very much indeed for giving us the opportunity to come here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Before the next speaker starts, can I just recognize and welcome the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, our own very Mr. Augustine Adege, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. You're welcome, sir. Thank you. Yes, please, carry on.
Mr. President, thank you very much for the invitation, and also thank Thank you also to my two chairmen behind me. Well, in telling you about our firm and how it came about, and what we've done to grow it, I'm only too aware that we may struggle for relevance in terms of a good number of people here in the hall. Many of you will regard it as a world away from your own businesses and that of your clients. Not better or worse, or less or more profitable, but a world away all the same, an academic exercise. If I was standing here, say, 5 years ago, or even less than that, I might be inclined to agree with you. Maybe that's why we weren't invited 5 years ago. The fact is that I do regard it as worthwhile, and frankly, that is why we've accepted the invitation and flown in overnight. So why bother now, and what has changed? Could you bear with me a second while I handle the technology? Well, no session like this would be complete without a reference to the global village. So it won't surprise you to hear me talk about the global media village. And quite simply, that is where we transact our business. London is merely where we hang our hats. We don't actually wear hats, but if we did have them, that's where we hang them. But I will, if I may, frame my response to the question of change by reference to my own field of expertise, being film, TV, and broadcasting, and the disruption that is inherent in all of these areas, particularly disruption in the production process. Over here, the phenomenon that is Nollywood endures. But we then get the likes of October 1 coming along, and Half a Yellow Sun, and 30 Days in Atlanta. Some collaborative efforts internationally and others not. Either way, they have ushered in higher budgets, increased production values, and delivered new international audiences for Nigerian material. That is change. Internationally, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Hulu are a fact of life, giving us new platforms and funding alternatives for content. Again, all about change. Also internationally, we keep being told that we are, at least in the US, in the midst of a golden age of TV drama with the likes of US shows Breaking Bad, True Detective, and Mad Men, putting premium cable nets like AMC and HBO in the US into the ascendance. Staying with the concept of change, US productions are being lured away from their home base to shoot overseas by the promise of local tax credits and a host of other financial incentives. US film and TV crews are losing out to the likes of Northern Ireland, the home of Game of Thrones, Croatia, and Wales. At this point, I need to declare an interest. I chair a government media fund of £30 million, when you think that the pound, I think, is worth 300 naira. So it's £30 million plus in Wales to set up for that very purpose. Basically, it's there to hand out incentives, including straight subsidy, to encourage those big US productions to come and spend their money in Wales, to benefit the local economy in a host of ways, including tourism, employment, skills, and training. This relatively small country, a very proud country culturally, with a population of a mere 3 million people, is seeking to disrupt the production industry international by playing its part. Against this background, we have the notion of on-demand, which brings us back to Nollywood. With its roots in DVD, it is the purest form of on-demand entertainment, now enabled online by the likes of Iroko, although even they are now mixing it in with foreign material. That is change for the rest of the world, but maybe that's not so much change for Nigeria, which, playing its own on-demand strengths, should be enjoying a competitive advantage. I also want to mention co-production and co-finance. For a host of reasons, many of us are now bound to look outside our home markets to help finance budgets and deliver production standards required internationally. All of this throws us together. The international market is fiercely competitive, and we have to cooperate to survive. Now, not for one moment am I forgetting about the particular issues here in Nigeria, notably the piracy challenges being tackled. Piracy is an international menace, holding back the effective development of media businesses around the world. But the current scale of the problem in Nigeria causes it to stand out as requiring special treatment. Likewise, I'm aware of the current state of broadband in Africa, but perhaps optimistically, I see both of these things, piracy and broadband strength, as soluble over time. So how are we to cooperate as fellow professionals? Well, for starters, we extend invitations to each other to speak at conferences. Thanks again for this one. We also share market intelligence and tell each other what we do. We must recognize, of course, that even as lawyers, the nature of the support that each of us offers may vary greatly. Today is my turn. I'm going to give you a very quick snapshot, if I may, Chairman, in terms of what I do in the funding of film and television productions by showing you the next slide. Hopefully it will give you a sense of how I seek to support my firm's clients in this particular sector, if I can do it. Now, needless to say, I've made the slide look much more complicated than it needs to be as a means of inflating my own importance. It describes a typical financing structure for an independently produced television series out of the UK. Taken as a whole, it may seem unfamiliar, but I can guarantee you that most of its parts will be wholly within the skill set of many of the commercial lawyers here in front of me today. Put simply, it is a piece of jargon, industry knowledge, binding together a suite of contractual and commercial skills, which on their own are becoming commoditized. In fact, that is a theme that I will cover briefly at the end, the need to establish precisely what our clients value most in the services that we provide, and developing our practices accordingly. We are lawyers. We give legal advice, but unless it is directly relevant and useful to our business clients, then we will lose out to our unqualified competitors. Mark my words. Clearly, I'm going to have to be very brief, but I'm hoping that this will just give you a taste. I want you to imagine that you are advising a UK production company making a TV drama series of 8 one-hour episodes for a budget of about £10 million. Again, 300 naira to the pound. That is about £1.25 million per episode. Not unusual at all in this market in the UK. It is all to be shot in the UK and licensed to ITV, our leading commercial TV network, the UK's NTA. Overseas, it is to be licensed to Netflix, who will be exploiting the exclusive SVOD, subscription video on demand rights. And that is the brief, so how does it get financed? Well, let's start with the circle that says tax credit. Sort of. The UK Revenue Service, the HMRC, offer a 20% tax credit for television drama productions with a budget of £1 million plus an hour in the UK. So there's your first 1.6 million of finance. Free money and a cheque paid to the producers. Wonderful. In terms of incentives, the next circle up, it depends upon where in the UK it's shot. Remembering that if you go outside the UK, to chase other incentives, let's say to Hungary or to Croatia or Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, that will reduce your £1.6 million tax credit. It gets ground down, so you have to balance it all. If you've been commissioned by ITV, up the top there, as the commissioning broadcaster, you can expect a fee of between £650,000 and £800,000 per hour. There potentially is another 6.4 million, and you can soon see how it's beginning to get financed. Importantly, the law in the UK enables independent producers to retain all of their rights, so they're not given to the broadcasters. They, by law, retain all their rights. So then they get to the situation where they can license them internationally to Netflix or whomsoever and gain significant revenues. Over the last 15 years, since we've had this rule in place, Many, many multimillionaires have been created as a result of that. Now, our production company client will likely access Netflix via the distributor, who will charge a commission for the privilege. Whatever Netflix pays by way of its license, however, it pays in 4 equal installments over 4 years. So you then have to go to your bank to get it discounted. And by the same token, you have to go to your bank and get them to discount the tax credit as well. So in a way, we're talking about a banking deal. Well, certainly very much, various constituents of it are about banking. Also, as the lawyer, you have to work out what you're going to do in terms of deals with the talent. Some of them are governed by guild agreements, some of them are bought out, some of them have a share of back end. You have to be aware of all of those things and certainly work to actually make it a success. So that is what I do. Moving quickly to my final slide, be in no doubt that Sheridan's is a leading media firm in the UK, but we are only as good as our most recent deal. The next deal depends upon this notion of staying up to date with cutting edge industry knowledge and ability to add value as well as value for money. That then brings me back to the point I made earlier, identifying the work that clients value most. Up until relatively recently, I focused my own practice upon the documents themselves rather than the business of structuring and putting deals together. That is because that's what lawyers do, don't they do? They do documents. In fact, what I used to do is give away my time for structuring the deals as a sort of lost leader. I'm now shifting all of that balance around, charging for the bit that I formerly gave away and allocating a lower price to the relatively straightforward drafting, the commodity. Clearly, that does not work for everybody. That is very personal account based upon me and my field. Now, thinking back to our earlier session on human capital, what I am more interested in now is your own roadmaps. That is the way ahead for each of you who might be interested in the practice of media law, from scratch or otherwise. To that end, I will now leave you with the following. This could be applied to most new sectors, but I feel that it's particularly fit for media law. Find the business case to justify your involvement. Clearly, there needs to be a business case. It's not a hobby, and it's not a lifestyle. Find busy, talented, and ambitious clients. Grow with them. Commit to the sector. Add value. Get the price right. And always act like the professional you are or should be. Sorry, I didn't say it was going to be easy. What is? Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for that presentation. We move on quickly. At this point, let me invite the representative of NCC DG. Let us hear the perspective from the regulators of the industry in Nigeria. Mr. Ezelo is here with us. Can you please come and give us your perspective? Thank you very much, Mr. Ezelo. I think he's also an accomplished legal practitioner, so he's very comfortable amongst us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. My name is Obi Ezeilo. I'm a deputy director with Nigerian Copyright Commission. I'm actually a prosecutor. My business is litigation, basically. I'm here to represent the Director General of Nigerian Copyright Commission, Mr. Afam Ezekude, who unfortunately couldn't make it to this program. I'm here to speak on his behalf. Well, the protection of creative works basically is provided by the Copyright Act, which is provided in Cap C 28, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. This law made extensive provisions for protection of works. Lots of artistic works are protected, including musical work, artistic work, film, sound recording, literary work, broadcasts, performance rights, and expression of folklore. I need to point out that sports is not one of the things listed to be protected under the copyright law. So the sport has to be protected by some other law. However, when a sporting event is, if you record it or you broadcast it, it now becomes broadcast, which falls within the purview of the copyright protection. The law also established the Nigerian Copyright Commission and empowers the commission to administer every issue that pertains to copyright. So we do administration of copyright matters, we make regulations for the copyright, guiding copyright issues. We enforce the copyright law. We do enlightenment on issues on copyright and all that. But I would also note that the copyright law is very author-friendly. It has made extensive protection for creative work. So to a very large extent, the creative works in Nigeria are very well protected, and all that's important is to comply and enforce that law. However, there are areas that the copyright law didn't quite protect or didn't anticipate when the law was made, because like we always know, technology is always ahead of the law. So there are issues like, like internet treaties, the issues about protecting the works on the internet, issues like technological protection measures that are put in place to deny pirates, to restrict pirates from breaking like access codes and all that. Issues like right information management, which gives information about the author of a work or the publisher or the producer of a work. What guides the management of these things. Somehow our law has not caught up with this, and that is why the Copyright Commission in the recent past commenced a reform process whereby we are trying to introduce a number of amendments in the law. Within the last year or two, we've had a lot of public meetings with different stakeholders in the industry to call in their input about the areas that needed amendment. Now, the amendment of the law has gone to the stage of drafting a proposed copyright law, which we are working on up till last 2 weeks. And I think that the first draft may come out maybe not more than 2 months from now. And according to the reform agenda of the Commission, when that draft comes out, we're going to circulate it, send it to to the stakeholders, like lawyers. And in fact, it's going to be on our website, and we're going to give a period allowing people to make comments, objections, challenges, suggestions, so that it will be incorporated. The idea is that between now and next year, we should have a proper draft bill that we should be going up to government for possible legislation. But to a large extent, the law as it stands now effectively protects the right of authors. Now, I would like to talk about regulation of copyright. The Commission made some extensive regulations to guide how certain works are used. There are a few regulations that are worth mentioning here. One is what we call the Collective Management Organization regulation. This regulation allows a group of artists, an association of authors, to form an association to jointly manage their rights. The reason is that you find out that the usage of work is vast. So if a right owner is allowed to individually manage his right, as in to identify every place that his works is being used and collect royalties for each of the use, is going to be practically impossible because the work is used in several places. Let me mention this. You will note that the kind of right confined to authors of work, like musical work or film, if you, for example, perform it in the public, if, for example, in a restaurant, you are playing music or showing film, that is public performance. And that means that you should pay the owner of that musical work / sound recording. And you can imagine we have millions and millions of restaurants, across the country. It goes beyond restaurants, places like, airport lounges, the bus stations, TV houses, radio stations, all that. Now, because of the fact that the usage is huge, collective management organization has been set to collect royalties from these users. This is one of the main ways across the world where the main sources of income to right owners, because at the end of the day, the whole idea is that people should pay for using work. And it's only by payment that the right owner will earn a living for the work is used. So we made those regulations. And we have also approved a number of societies for different genre of rights. For example, we have a society we call Copyright Society of Nigeria, COSON, which is the approved society for musical work and sound recording. We have AVRS, Audiovisual Rights Society, which is approved for public performance of film works. We have rape running, which is approved for public performance of literary work and all that. Well, these are the basic ones we've approved for now. Well, so beyond that, there are also the optical disc regulation, which is a regulation that was made to regulate the reproduction of optical disc in CD and DVD format by the plants that produce this. This enables us to closely monitor, supervise the activities of these places, ensure that they get rights, they clear their rights before they reproduce somebody's work, ensure that proper permits are made, ensure that illegal reproduction, otherwise called piracy, is not allowed, and all that. That also allows us to steadily supervise all the outlets where these are produced. We also have what is the levy on copyright material order. That order, which has been issued but it's yet to be implemented, allows the states to collect some revenue for production and importation of materials that are capable to be used to pirate works. The arrangement is that this is going to be collected by customs, and in conjunction with Copyright Commission, distributes to Association of Right Owners. This money is not meant for the Commission or for government. It is meant to be distributed, even though the Commission is going to keep some part for administrative costs, but it's basically meant to be distributed to right owners through their right owner associations. All this is targeted at taking the money back to the owners of these works. But beyond that, one of the most important arm of the law is provisions on copyright enforcement. The law mandates the Commission to appoint the copyright inspectors, which has powers to enforce the copyright law. Now, certain aspects of the law has been criminalized. Things that if you reproduce a work protected by copyright for commercial purposes without the consent of the right owner, it's a criminal violation for which our operatives can arrest and investigate and will file charges if we are found to be as a prima facie case. So, and things like selling pirated works, importing pirated works, distributing pirated works, and all that. These are all criminal sanctions. These are all attract criminal sanctions. And for those ones, our operatives make huge arrests and we prosecute. We have had a lot of arrests across the country. We have several cases in court. I'm doing a number of judgments here from several courts. By the way, we all basically file, our matters only go to Federal High Court, but that's the only court that have jurisdiction on copyright matters. So we are always at the Federal High Court. In doing this, we rely on a lot of collaboration with both with other government agencies and with right owners.
Time, please.
Okay. We to a large extent rely on collaboration from right owners for information about the huge, the huge dealers, huge pirates. Let me say here that it's been observed that piracy is one of the biggest challenges to the copyright industry. That I agree. Now, are we fighting copyright? Yes, but the issue is, do we have the capacity to cover the field? Because there are a lot of across the street you see pirated work all over the place, but the capacity of the Commission, both material-wise and finance-wise, is limited. So we target the real big importers or the big reproducers because that's what we can carry. Once in a while we do some street cleaning, you see our operatives on the street, make some arrests, prosecute and all that. But that's not going to solve it because we don't have capacity to be cleaning the streets at all times. So we target the good ones and we advise royals, right owners to always inform us because we are going to work on those ones. Well, there are also administration of copyright. As a commission, we support the right owners. We are always there to offer advice at any time on issues of copyright, the extent of right you have, the extent of infringement involved. Whether
Time.
Well, finally, I would say we also support lawyers. I encourage law firms to relate with our offices across the country. We're always there to speak with you, to also support you, because I know that we don't have much of expertise amongst my learned colleagues in this field. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ezelo, representing the DG Nigerian Copyright Commission. Thank you very much.
We're going to call on some of the panelists here as discussants. But before we do that, can I just once again call Charles Igwe, my friend, for recognition. He's not normally a latecomer. I don't know what happened today. Right. Can we have Dr. Ekechiku Obiaya from the Lagos Business School? Yes, he's here. Please.
The chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good evening. A small point of correction. I am not from the Lagos Business School. I am from the School of Media and Communication. We are sister schools with Lagos Business School under the umbrella of the Pan-Atlantic University.
Well noted.
Sorry.
Thank you. Now, it's quite impressive, all that has been said here this evening, because all of it really is all very much tied together. And I find it quite impressive also that it fits in very much with the theme of the overall conference, which is this contribution to national development. Because all of what we're talking about in this forum about the entertainment industry is really very much under the creative industries. And in recent years, the creative industries have become extremely important to government in general for two reasons. One is that it's an industry that creates jobs. And then secondly, it also creates wealth. Okay, so that if we're talking about national development, then certainly we must talk about this industry, as it were. This is why I think there's a need to bring into this picture the creative industries, because that, I think, if you all as lawyers are trying to focus on really where should you put your hands on, there are two things here. One, the fact that, as has already been mentioned, it creates money. Okay, it's the monetization and protection of creative rights. And then also the whole thing about the job and wealth creation, well, which then links with the people involved in this industry. Quite a bit has been said about the money in the, because I'm focusing really more on the film industry. And quite a bit has been said about the amount of money. It's mind-boggling, you hear the billions. But I think it's important to note that much of this money does not get to the practitioners. It's important to note that. Much of this money does not reach those who are actually doing the work. Okay, and I think this is where, this is the important role that you all can play here. Because as the penultimate speaker said, what is truly, if you're asking the question, what value can you put in, then you have to focus on the thing of structure. And if you listen closely to much of what has been said, part of the key problems are all linked to structure. There are various things that we can point out. I was pleased to have caught a bit of the previous session to this one, and the things that were said about education, technical education especially, are especially relevant for this industry. Because when you talk about technical education, there's very little structured education going on. Yes, we do have some schools, but you think about the numbers that we have in this country, you think about the great mass of youth that are trying to get into this industry, and then you look at the number of schools, some of which really are not up to standard, and there's very little. So part of the thing that also has to be looked at there in terms of attaining the standard is to look at the regulation, how these schools are regulated, what can be done to improve all of that structure. Then the whole issue of the rights themselves. Anybody who is trying to get into work here, legal work here, needs to understand the rights, okay? Because even some of the practitioners themselves do not understand it fully. Okay? That there's so many rights in one firm that need to be protected, need to be guarded, need to be commodified, if we can put it like that. So understanding those rights, the importance of contracts, that has also been mentioned. In my experience, well, the research I have carried out, speaking with some of the people, what some of them said is that yes, there are contracts. Some people do sign contracts, but some of them, well, they sign the contract after the job has been done. Or some don't read the contract, or they're not aware of the strength of the contract to defend their rights. So that's another area really. And then one of them, this was 3-4 years ago, he stressed that there's a need for media lawyers. These were his words. You need to really help them in that sector, so that I think you can take it that the people are waiting. And then the challenge that exists also of the non-regulation in the industry, it's, if you will pardon the term, it's a bit of a free-for-all. Anybody can get into the industry, and there's nobody determining, well, what are the rates, so that there are some people who are paid very, very poorly, who are really used, and there are some people who are not getting quite where they should be getting, well, so on and so forth. You have a little bit of everything. But that thing of the structure, nobody determines what level of education do you require to begin to work in the industry, or what protection do you have working in the industry. So that these are areas that you can see, yes, there's a need for adequate regulation here. There's a need to guide people as to what their rights are, etc. There's also, as has been pointed out, the framework for protecting copyright. The previous speaker spoke about that. But we need to go beyond just the Nigerian situation, because we're not only protecting the copyright of the filmmakers here in Nigeria. Much of this work is going outside there. And there's a need to form bonds or links with other countries so that work can also be protected in those other countries. A lot of the work is pirated out there. And many times the authorities in those countries have said that they are tied. They can't do anything because there's no formal agreement with our people here. So that's another aspect that, well, is very much important here. The whole business of the export protection.
Time, please.
Yes, and it's important, just one last thing to remember, that the thing of piracy is linked to a vacuum, the distribution structure, okay? And if we are able to get that also in place, it will have, well, the aspect also of internet protection has already been mentioned. But really, it's to stress the point that what is required here is a structure, and much of these problems will be helped with the right laws and the right guidance in all of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We are running out of time, although we started about 20 minutes late due to the last session delving into our time. So we'll try to move as quickly as possible. Let me invite at this point Mr. Ahigbe to give us his comments with respect to the music industry. Mr. Ahigbe, please. I've just been informed that the president of the MBA has given us permission to go till 6:30. Thank you very much, sir. Please go on.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the audience and of the panel. I'm a bit nervous because this is my first time speaking in front of a public forum, much less an august occasion like the NBA annual conference. So if I stammer or stumble, pardon me.
Please be relaxed. There's no problem.
I would like to speak here as someone who works on both sides. I often refer to myself as a lawyer and creative arts entrepreneur. So with apologies, I'm not speaking only about music, but instead what I think is a crucial issue to be addressed with regards to legal service delivery for the creative arts or the talented arts, which take on board sports, anything that requires physical and creative endeavor. The topic for today is the legal industry doing enough for the talented industries? I would argue yes and no. Yes, in that it's a new field and it's a new area of the law, and the lawyers I work with and I have seen are doing their very best. At the same time, I would say no because, again, because it's a new field, there's very little that is understood about the fundamentals of these industries, the creative industries, the sports industries, for any number of reasons, but primarily lack of understanding and awareness. And I think that is what we need to focus on both sides of the legal and talented industry sector. The gentleman before me referred to the fact that a lot of the times contracts are written after the work has been done, or contracts are sort of done on the fly. That's probably because half the time there is no real understanding about the value of this work. The average creative person, and I'm a creative person, and I work with creatives as a manager and a lawyer, and I have my own theater and TV production house, doesn't really understand that what he or she has created is one in itself important. Usually, and I'll use music for an example, a lot of artists are very happy having their music just go out and be heard. They can have their music on the blogs or hear their music on radio, and that's it. They don't really see it as something they can actually make a living from, any profession from. As a result, they don't take any pride in their work beyond getting it out. Now the problem with that is if you don't understand or value what you have, you put yourself in a situation whereby you don't know how to protect it. You don't know what questions to ask, you don't know who to go to or where to go. And only when do you find out that there is value because somebody else has seen it, do you complain and say, well, I'm being taken advantage of. I believe it was Mr. Makori who referred to the fact that there's about a potential $40 billion naira or dollar industry in Nigeria. And everyone here has referred to the issue of piracy. But then again, what are the roots of piracy in Nigeria? No one gets up and just takes material and puts them out in the Alaba markets or whatever. They get them usually from the creatives because they want to get their stuff out. So I think as a first port of call, we need to work hand in hand, lawyers, the creatives, the sports people, and having a discussion about what it is that they are actually selling, what they are providing, the national, the business case for it, the understanding of it, and how it can be used to project themselves and their environment. When we start having that conversation, we will then begin to approach a sense of unity and understanding about these industries, and then we can focus on things like creating the structures that protect them. I run a music label, and I had to sit down with one of my artists once and walk him through a segment that dealt with his revenue from digital rights licensing. And the interesting thing was, this guy asked me one question: why are you taking 40% of my work? And I said, do you understand what it means to license your work? And he said, no, but it's my right, so why are you taking money from it? And I said, well, number one, if somebody uses your work, let's say, for a ringtone, and that ringtone, like Ayorinde Bello's Godwin, and that ringtone is then used, for example, in an ad campaign without your permission, can you go and get money for it? Can you actually stipulate that your music can only be used for entertainment purposes and not political? Now, if you don't know this, you have a problem. You don't understand the value of your work. And I think because lawyers are the learned profession, we have an obligation to start teaching and educating these people, because the only way we can actually collectively benefit, make the money that we want to make from the revenue streams there, is by developing an industry that consistently delivers quality And for that, more than anything else, we need to have this conversation and educate ourselves. Also on the legal side, we need to also understand, as Mr. Makeri stated, that these are people who, first and foremost, don't think the same way we do. They won't come to us. We have to go to them. We have to earn their trust. Not by telling them what we offer them, but actually how we can work together and develop these industries. I hope to be a part of this, and I hope that people will leave here want to be a part of it on different sections, because again, with the entertainment industry or the sports industry, the law can be used for health protection, associations, unions, and the like, and all of these things will not only strengthen our industry, but also bring back money and give jobs in different areas. Thank you all for your time, and I apologize for my nervousness.
You did very well. Can we have Mr. Tilewa Adebajo?
Yes, please. I don't know, we have quite a number of younger lawyers here, but I can see some very old faces. I don't know if we all know about stationery stores, football club. A lot of people are looking blank. We do. You are an old man, so you should know. So, thank you, Mr. Adebajo. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Bolaji, and Adeumi. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not only honored but privileged to be talking to this very distinguished gathering of lawyers this evening. My family football club, Stationery Stores Football Club, was founded 65 years ago this year and remains the oldest surviving football club in Nigeria today. The club was started in 1950 by my late father, Israel Adebajo, and we remain focused in developing football in Nigeria. But before I start, the co-chairman, I would like you to permit you to clarify a few things or bring to fact some issues. The gathering is saying today what is in it for us. This whole sector of entertainment, media, sports, broadcasting, and I think where's Mr. Damager was trying to explain how big this industry is. I just want to state some facts. The rebased GDP for Nigeria is 500 billion US dollars. The entertainment industry contributes 2% or $10 billion of that. So this sector is worth $10 billion. If you compare that with the oil and gas industry, which is about $15 billion, you're looking at about $80 billion. So the entertainment sector is about 1/8 of the oil and gas industry. But the catch is that the oil and gas industry, the rate of the GDP growth for the oil and gas industry is actually minus 13%. So the oil and gas industry is actually declining. However, this sector of entertainment media is actually growing by 25% per annum in terms of GDP. So if you do the numbers, you can begin to see that we haven't actually scratched the surface here. And this comes to where my discussion begins. 90% of the football players in the Nigerian Premier League are civil servants. You might seem surprised, but the states that couldn't pay salaries, a lot of football teams were affected because their state governors could not pay their salaries. The Nigerian Football Federation, which the distinguished chairman is here, is more of a pseudo-entity of the Nigerian Football Association, which is a government parastatal. Unfortunately, in Nigeria today, we have a situation whereby football is the only sport that has a law which was the Decree 101, or which one is what you now call the NFA Act 101, that actually governs and overrides football in Nigeria. So football in Nigeria today is actually more like Nigeria Airways or NEPA or NITEL or those sort of older banks that you can think about. So one of the problems we've had in football in Nigeria is the fact that we haven't privatized football in Nigeria. Having said that, the NFF have a very strong initiative going, which is setting up a league management company to try to attract investment into this area. For us that are running the clubs on the private sector, our family club also is a limited liability company. We're registered with the CAC, and we have lawyers who file our returns, and we have to comply with all the procedures on a regular basis. But unfortunately, most of the other state government teams do not see football as a commercial business. But with the establishment of the league management company, we find that things are beginning to change, in the sense that opportunity now arises for football to be run in a commercially viable way. People ask me these questions: why doesn't stationery stores play football every season? The only season I play football is when I have a sponsor who can underwrite my expenses. If I'm going to play in the National League, it will cost me about 70 million naira to run that campaign. If I'm going to play in the Premiership League, it will cost me close to 600 million naira to run that campaign. The sponsorship deals that have been signed by the Nigerian Premier League at best would return maybe 20 or 30 million naira, or maybe 50 million naira to you at the end of the year, over an expense of 600 million. So quite simply, it's not profitable for me to play football in Nigeria, except when I have a sponsor. Unfortunately, there is the potential. And the reason why this is not so is that my very good friend is here, which I have told to him. The English Premier League turns over $6 billion every year. Some portion of that $6 billion comes from...
Pounds.
Sorry?
Pounds,
not even dollars, 6 billion pounds. So that's maybe close to $10 billion every year. A significant portion of those funds come from Nigeria. And Mr. Ogunsoya has been smart enough to be able to put up the structures to facilitate our appetite for that product. Why? He understands the legal framework, so he understands the legal model, and by understanding that, he's built a business around it, because it's all about rights and broadcasts. So he focused on that early, and he has created a niche for himself and built a business around that. But that business is legal. Football, at the end of the day, is just a product. The people that will make football successful in Nigeria are the lawyers. The sort of contracts MultiChoice signs with the Premier League are international contracts that border on rights. These clubs share this money just on one product, which is their TV rights. They also have their merchandising, they have a lot of other things they do. We are very lucky in the sense that because of the brand of our business, over the last 6 years, we've sustained a merchandising business that has given us revenues in excess of 8-9 million naira every year. It's still very small, but larger than what happens. The biggest attendance that was recorded in Nigerian football was recorded last year when stationery stores played IIC Shooting Stars of Ibadan at Onikon Stadium on a weekday. We got a crowd of 25,000 and made gate takings of 6 million naira. This is probably the best that any club in Nigeria, including the ones in the in the Premier League, can ever hope to accomplish. So we have a lot of constraints within our system in terms of how we can work. But right now, with what the league management company is doing, the structures are in place, but we need the legal framework to support us. The NFF, under the new chairman, have empowered the league management company to give football a commercial value. And I encourage a lot of lawyers here to be able to help the league management company to structure the deals. What deals are we signing with multi-choice. And I'm happy that Mr. Ogunsoya himself is running a football club this season to begin to understand the sort of pains and what it means to be able to run a business. Mr. Damijo talked about 1 billion being just the telcos alone putting in to endorse certain key Nollywood and Nigerian hip-hop artists. So my plea really is the fact that where I need help today, I have very good lawyers who help me with filing my returns and keeping things going. I want to list my company. I want to take my company public. We want to privatize this, not only, we want Nigeria to privatize football. We need lawyers to help with that. We want to list our company, our football club, on the stock exchange. We need lawyers. And more importantly, from the institutional perspective, we need lawyers that can guide the league management companies to be able to negotiate contracts. Some lawyers sat down and negotiated a $10 billion contract just for TV rights for the EPL. If we have some good lawyers in Nigeria, they should be able to negotiate rights with the sort of corporate sponsorships that we can attain in Nigeria to be able to get money into football in Nigeria. $10 billion in GDP is significant. It's growing at 25% a year. I don't need you to do the math. In 2 to 3 years' time, we can see where we can be. So in asking the question, what's in it for us? The answer is that a significant amount of money, and we need it now. And it's the lawyers that can help us negotiate the sort of contracts that we deserve that can make us profitable. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much.
One of my very good contemporaries, my friend, Charles Igwe, please. My business partner as well.
Thank you very much. Mr. President and my co-panelists, I must apologize. I think the airline left me in Lagos. I was at the airport by 11. They took off and they didn't announce. Okay. I haven't had the privilege of listening to everyone, so if in some places I do sort of repeat what some of them have said, please accommodate that. Let me start by just trying to put perspective on this. I got into this media content creation business very early. We were one of the early investors in what became Nollywood in its current incarnation. A friend of mine once said to me, he's a medical doctor, he says, what you people do to create movies in Nigeria is like performing open heart surgery with forks and knives. But he says that the genius of it is not the forks and knives, it's that the patient survives. You know, just to put perspective on what's been going on here, and if you put it together with just some demographic information, you begin to see, like Mr. Debajo was pointing out, that word which is very, oftenly used here, potential. Population figures say that Nigeria has an average age of 17 years. That is to say that more than half of the population of 170 million are under 30. Now, that would be about 70, 80 million, thereabout. And current employment figures and all that suggest that even if every company in Nigeria triples its workforce, the most they will take up in any one cycle is maybe about 15 million people. So evidently, in excess of 50 million young people will not have jobs. It doesn't matter what the situation is with the economy. Now, but every one of these people, as we've come to understand, and I think someone pointed to that, has creative talent. Something they do, and they do well. A few of them have broken through the system and found fame. But for every one of them, the rest of the world here, it's like getting into a boat race. the rest of them are going along. So you can understand what odds we face. But then the bright side of it is that when you call the top 3 filmmaking countries in the world, Nigeria is in the mix. Now that is something I think is commendable. So my thoughts are that you really have to get people to move their talent into the point where those assets that they have become tradable. Now let me close on this point because I don't know how much time I have. The nature of the asset of the creative industries is uniquely different from every other asset that we trade in across the whole economy. If you put 100 barrels of crude oil here and put it to work in this economy, it'll be gone in a day. It'll become kerosene, petrol, it'll become petroleum jelly, it'll become all kinds of things. You will need another 100 barrels of oil here to do the same work the next day. Same thing you do with agricultural produce. You eat it up. Fast-moving consumer goods, you drink all the juice and all of that stuff. You make a great piece of work, whether it's music, movies, or something in the creative industries. I mean, for example, many of you here probably have young children. Sound of music is something you probably have in most of your homes. It was made in 1954, still making money till today. That's the nature of the asset that we're making. So moving investment into this is, I think, probably maybe the surest form of, it's better than real estate, as far as I'm concerned. But when you go to a bank and you have, some piece of work, like one of the ones we did, like maybe rattlesnake or something like that, or violated, and you want money, they'll prefer the house in Ikoyi to that one. So anyway, my point here is that we do need lawyers, and I think it's a privilege to stand before all of you here. But it's the manner of engagement which I think we need to look at, because it will not follow the pattern that the established industries like oil and gas, manufacturing and all that will follow. It will require a little bit of patience, but it is necessary because the entirety of the qualification of the assets we have is legal. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. We are rounding up now. I will still ask Mr. Mofe Damijo to still speak for 2 minutes. Thereafter, we take a couple of comments or questions from the audience, and we'll round up after that. Mr. Damijo, please. Thank you.
Protocols, please, according to Amaju, protocols. I think we have been able to establish today very, very strongly that the creative industry, and speaking for Nollywood now, needs representation. We need lawyers that will give themselves time to study the industry, understand it, like Makori has said, and begin to work with it, and in the process create content in it. What other thing does Nollywood need lawyers for? Nollywood right now, they need lawyers to articulate for them how to fight piracy. How do we work with the regulating bodies? How do we create a situation where, for instance, when we identify the really, really flash points or sub points, let me ask a question, for instance, can Alaba be raided, for instance? I mean, it has gotten to a point where Alaba is known for all kinds of piracy things, and we know where the problem is, and government is unable to do anything about it. We are hoping, we had said earlier on today that with all the change and everything going on in the country, that some serious work will be done for piracy. Also, we are asking that maybe SBL, the session on business law, should organize workshops for lawyers who are interested in the creative industry, because part of the problem is, I was sharing with the co-chair a few minutes ago, is that most of us lawyers do not understand the industry, and you cannot operate in an industry that you do not understand. In spite of the potentials, in spite of all the monies that are there to, for the taking, you cannot operate in such an environment if you do not have any kind of training or any kind of knowledge about that area. So I think basically those are the things I would just like to talk about this evening. We have established that we need representation, and that representation cuts across individuals looking for contracts or signing contracts and all that. We need representations because rights will always be in conflict. The platforms for broadcast today, they are a lot more than the traditional ones where you need to fight NTA or fight an independent station. You now have an entire world out there in cyberspace that you need to fight consistently. And if we have to pay 40% for a lawyer to do that when they represent us to get those monies from those platforms, we will do much more than that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are moving to the end now, and we are going to round up on a high note, I can promise you. Can I have, yes, there is a gentleman there who would ask a question. I think I remember you from the last session. You were attempting to ask a question or make a comment, and you were denied. So that is why I'm picking you out. So your comment or question, 1 minute, and we will have somebody from this side too. I think there are more hands up here, but just one here and one there. I'm sorry. Can somebody give him a microphone? No, the gentleman. Yes. 1 minute, please.
Following up from what the last speaker...
Please introduce yourself. Thank you.
Okay. HS Greatness Agadaego from Agadaego Stewart and Associates in Warrior and Asaba in Delta State. Following from what the last speaker said, he said, Mr. Igwe, I guess, he said, is the manner of engagement that we need to look at. That's they need to look at, the manner of engagement they will have with lawyers that we need to look at. And I know this second speaker said that his first briefing as a lawyer, he even stayed with one of his clients who is an artist till 4 a.m., if I got him right. And if I also think of what Amaju Pinnick said, it seems as if we may need to go do some kind of hunting. We may need to reach out to them. We may need to do some sort of soliciting. So, and yesterday, if you remember, we talked in depth about uplifting the standard, the ethical standards of our noble legal profession. And we know clearly that Rules 22 of our PC says that a lawyer shall not call on a client's house or his place of business in order to offer legal advice or take any instrument from him. So by doing that, we will not be breaching the high ethical standard of our legal profession just to get brief. That is on one hand. And if we have to stay in a client's place of business up to 4 a.m., which time we will have to deal with fundamental human rights, which time we will have to deal with civil and criminal matters, bail applications here and there. It means that we may have lost focus, or we'll just be a one-way lawyer attached to one client, which I don't think will be fair. So I think we really need to streamline how we can really incorporate this talented industry into our legal practice. Thank you.
Thank you. So what was denied of you at the last session, you have been able to, well done. Can I have somebody, yes, I think Mr. Yaya will speak to that, but I want the second person to come first. Yes, there's a gentleman here. First, second row, yes.
Thank you. My name is Austin Eguatu. I have a question for the NFF man. You cited the case in Belgium that was codified by FIFA, and that it has helped to pacify the plight of players abroad. And in Nigeria here, you will agree with me that most Nigerian players have been enslaved. Most of them doesn't even have valid contracts with the club they play with. Most of them are being paid peanuts. They beg to play. My question is, what has NFF done? What framework has NFF put on ground to curb those things? And it should be on that basis that lawyers can now cash in to speak for those players. Because I know NFF, I think you're a regulatory body. So what have you done? That's the question. My second question is for...
No, it's okay. Thank you. Can we take yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, sorry, I'm sorry that I did not show my slides, and I would have been able to give a clearer picture of what I meant. First of all, you need to differentiate between solicitation and engagement. You have to also have to differentiate from business development. I'm sure you go to banks to go and solicit for work. You do? You don't? Okay, how do you engage your clients then? They come to your office. That's a joke. That's one. Secondly, the industry is different. The way you engage in that industry is totally different from the way you engage in other industries. That's one. The other thing you need to know is that for you to be able to, So for you to be able to successfully play a major role in this industry, I'm getting a bit confused now, but for you to play a major role in this industry, you need to be able to successfully draw the I'm getting a bit confused. Somebody should help me.
I think to be of assistance there. Yeah, okay. I think to be of assistance, you do not need to solicit for these artists. If you see a talented artist, it comes to you, you'll encourage, you'll bond with them, and you get to know them. For example, I can speak from my own experience. If you don't, people will tell me that maybe I'm an engineer or maybe a media person. Where is your office? I'm going to multi-choice. I said, no, I'm a lawyer. So you don't mix up the two. So there's a tendency for people to mix. So you have to engage. You have to get involved in the business. Like the Sheridans have told you, you must know these people. Not that you are going to wine and dine in their homes, but that may be in the conservative days. But if you have your client who is a Davido, and you are traveling with him to sign a contract, the tendency of you being mobbed at the airport with him is very high. And you're not going to say you're going to run away from that.
Please, let me just 2 minutes.
Yes.
So I've collected my thoughts back. So let me just quickly address that issue. You have to know a bit about the industry. For example, in the US, nobody's even going to collect your demo tape except through a lawyer, because people are afraid of suits, infringement issues. So the real deal maker, for example, in the music industry in the US, is the lawyer. No record label will collect your demo. And, pardon? In the entertainment industry, so how do you define that role of playing your client's lawyer and soliciting the way you call it? I call it engagement, and I think that word was carefully chosen. You have to be able to carefully represent your client while not violating any of the professional rules of conduct. Thank you.
Thank you. On the other point raised by the gentleman on the right, can Mr. Pinnick just, you can, okay. It will just speak for a minute, because we are going to end on a high note, and you will understand why I keep on saying that. Yeah.
Protocols again. First, I'd like to correct an impression about the Nigerian Football Federation created by my Big Brother Adebanjo. First, the Nigerian Football Federation, under my leadership, has been driven first by passion to serve Nigeria. And we have demonstrated that a couple of times. One of the things that we did coming into governance was partnering with 3 very reputable companies, Bain & Co. as our management consultant, Financial Derivatives as our financial consultant, and Pricewaterhouse as our auditors. Doing that, we were immediately attracted to Nigerian corporates. And the result is what you've been saying. Only 3 weeks ago, when the Nigerian Stock Exchange, why did we do that? Because we are looking at a projected time whereby most of the clubs in the Nigerian Premier League will be listed in the Nigerian Stock Exchange. It's a very ambitious project, but we believe certainly we'll get there. Coming to your question, we came in 11 months ago, and one of the first things we did was to get legislation in completely liberating us from government. Because government funds sports in Nigeria, ipso facto, the Nigerian Football Federation. And this is not sui generis to Nigeria alone. Most developing countries all over the world are funded by government. But we are, the leadership that we have in the Federation, myself, Shea Akinwumi, Shea Odiko, are people coming from the corporate background. And we have seen that for us to be able to stop this recurring problem of players not being paid, is to have these players, is to have these teams, each team have a corporate identity. And that's what we have set out. I can assure you within the next 2 years, most of the clubs we have in Nigeria today will be at least have 80% private ownership. We are working behind the scene, and we're also looking at companies. For example, you see a Dangote, we hear Dangote wants to buy us now. We've also approached him and said, okay, buy us now, beautiful, but you are from Kano State and you do business in Benue State. Why do you take over Lobby? And there's a tax rebate that says 10% of whatever you invest in sports is a sports policy will be deducted from your tax at the end of the day. So we're looking at those billionaires that feels. So at the end of the day, technically, if Dangote pays maybe 10 billion as tax a year, 1 billion will be taken out from it. And 1 billion can fall to clubs without recourse to government. So in truth, we are making a lot of effort. And we are not just looking at a short-term solution. We are looking at a more enduring solution. We are looking at a permanent solution to this. And the only way to go is to have private ownership of these clubs. The only way government can come in for now is because government provide infrastructure, which is the stadia. That infrastructure will look at converting it based on the value of the infrastructure, 10, 20% as equity. So government will have a 10% or 20% equity share in the running of these clubs. But I can assure you, in due course, we are going to get it right. Just believe in Nigerian Football Federation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pinnick. We can also assure you that you are in the right place. Can I quickly call on Nkechi Ubi, Program Director, SportsPro.ng, to quickly tell us something that we would like to hear very quickly. And we shall be ending on a very high note. So let Nkechi speak first, please. Thank you. Very quickly, 2 minutes.
Mr. President, Chairman, Co-Chairman.
That's 1 minute
all
gone.
protocols observed.
1 minute gone.
I know. It's like the MBA section of business law is being very, very proactive. I think that when it's time for something, everything works towards it. I'm program director of SportsPro Nigeria. SportsPro Nigeria is actually a capacity development program targeted at developing sports as an industry. It's a program, the facilitators, I'm happy to say that one of the co-facilitators is also here, Professor Ike Obiaya of the Pan-Atlantic School, University School of Media and Communications in collaboration with my company, put this together. This is a 5-year development plan that identified that the problem with sports in Nigeria is a lack of capacity in the first instance, in understanding the areas that sports, the sports business entails. If you don't understand the areas, how are you going to get involved in it? So SportsPro Nigeria came about is a series of workshops annual workshops in the first 2 to 3 years, with the target of being a place where you can now come for a postgraduate diploma in the sports business and possibly master's and executive training. This year, we are very fortunate that the School of, the MBA section on business law, we wrote asking, look, that we need lawyers. There are only 4 sports lawyers in Nigeria. 4.
I am not one of them yet.
No, I know you are not, because I know the 4. And I can name the 4 here. One of them I actually encourage.
No, please don't know that.
No, but if we have only 4 lawyers, how are we going to, sports lawyers, how are we going to take advantage of all the opportunities?
We know them.
How are we going, you know them as well. How are we going to create that business? How are we going to engage with these people? Who even knows the amount of business that's been done? Do you know the amount of business that's been done in sports betting? 1.8 billion every day. 20 million Nigerians spend 1.8 billion every day betting on sports business.
That is,
Who is advising the sport? Yesterday I just got a
Carlo.
brief. Somebody's about to open a sports betting agency. Who is advising those people? Who knows the amount of money that's in the nationwide league? So the MBA section on business law has partnered with us to provide that knowledge and is going to circulate this to all its members. We have faculty from all over the world coming to say, this is what you can do in the sports business. This is how you engage. This is how you encourage the NFF to do things in what they are doing. This is the business in club football.
Time, please.
So that's, so we hope we'll see you there.
Thank you very much. And you can see the reception that what you have said is very good for the profession. One more person to just say hello to us for 1 minute before we call on the last person to speak. That is one last person before the last person. Yes. I have a Nollywood person here. Mr. Dixon is a producer, is Nollywood at the moment, is not veteran and old actor and producer like Mofe Damijo. He is current. Speak for 1 minute. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. President, I want to first of all appreciate you on behalf of Nollywood for giving us this platform. I'm a filmmaker. My name is Dixon Irebu. I have my senior colleagues here, Mr. Mofe Damijo.
30 seconds gone.
All protocols observed.
I quickly, please, will appeal to this wonderful group of people here that in the area of job creation, ignoring the entertainment sector is a terrible disservice to our country. That is to your conscience. It's not just all about chasing the money. It's also about, like the team, lawyers and national development. That sector is key. There's someone who used to be very encouraging those days, late barrister Efere Osako, passionately was with us, passionately demanding that we be recognized. I just want to appeal to our conscience. This industry is huge. It's beyond money. It's beyond oil. It's beyond economy. It's about the nation called Nigeria. The soul of this nation can indeed be presented to the fore by this sector. So let's not ignore it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think people in the media business and sports business would know that they cannot talk about development of this industry without mentioning the name of late Efere Osako, who is in fact a formidable lawyer, and he worked very, very hard in this field. Thank you.
Thank you. Just before we close, let me, I have the singular pleasure to invite to speak to us. I have been, myself and my co-chair, Mr. Gusanya, we have been in charge of this for the past 2 hours thereabouts, and we've been giving everybody 1 minute, 2 minutes. This one, I will not be able to tell him 2 minutes or 3 minutes, but I'm sure that he would not exceed more than a few minutes. But I am not the one who will stop him. Please let me introduce the president of the Bar Association, Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Augustine Alege, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, to say a few words. Mr. President, you're welcome. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'll assure you that I'll not take more than 30 minutes. I'm very, very happy that this session, showcase session, has turned out wonderfully well, that the engagement we hope to occur between the bar and Nollywood is starting to occur. I want to thank everybody who has participated, apart from Nkechi of Sports Pro, who came here to take my work, because the work of enlightenment and continued education of lawyers is a task of the Nigerian Bar Association, and it's a task that we guard jealously. We may invite you to come and speak, but you cannot, whatever you are negotiating with SBL is on the boundary of an illegal contract. Let me just give you a heads up. I want to thank everybody who has been here. I'd like to start from my brother, Mr. Akigbe, who came here. You know, Edo people, Edo Wayo, I'm very nervous, and that calmed everybody down. And then the nervous man delivered a wonderful presentation. We thank him for being here. Conferences are meant for us to meet our friends and our brothers who are not seen for long. Ike Obiaya is like my younger brother. He's now professor of entertainment at the Pan-Atlantic University. Ike gave a very insightful view into all of this, and Ike, it's a pleasure meeting you again. Welcome, and we hope we'll call on you many more times. We thank you for coming. Tilewa would not like to see an Edo man because Bendel Insurance, we used to always beat stationery stores. I like the work that you have been doing. We appreciate the work that you have been doing. That's why we have invited you here. And your expose was very encouraging. It has shown us that while many people are complaining that work is shrinking, work is actually expanding, and there's much more work to do. I'd also like to thank Mr. Peter McEnany. I hope I'm not murdering the name, for his own presentation. I think for him to have come at such short notice, it shows that there's a lot of work to be done here. That is why he agreed to come. If he did not think there was work here, he won't be here. I don't know if I need to thank RMD or if mere thank you will be enough. RMD at such short notice agreed to be the host of our opening ceremony. He did wonderfully well. He's the only man who has called the president, and the president got up smiling. I don't know how he did it. Sorry, we're having some problems with transmission here. Thank you very much. RMD did very, very well for us. On behalf of the entire Bar Association, I'd like to thank you for all the work that you have been doing. And because he's a committed member of the Bar Association, he was taking pictures with people without charging any fee. I hope that after conference, that will continue. My brother from Zikudu, DG of NCC was not here with us, but he sent Obi Zilo, one of us again, to represent him. And I thank you very much for coming and for the work that you have done. Tell our fam that we miss him here, but we do not miss him too much because you more than ably represented him. But thank you very much. Yahaya Mekori is one of those who has blazed the trail in the entertainment industry. So whether he's happy that they are telling other lawyers to join him or he's not happy, I don't know yet. But I hope he's happy because his hands are too full, there's too much work, he can hardly sleep, he can hardly take holiday. You know, the work just keeps coming. And I want to thank him for the work he has been doing with Sound City and his numerous other projects. I believe that it shows that for anything in Nigeria to move forward, lawyers have to get involved. And his involvement is moving the industry forward. We want to thank you very specially and assure you that you will get company very soon. Thank you. Yeah. My brother Amaju, I saw Amaju's picture when we went to visit Buhari, and he was wearing full Babariga. It was the first time I've seen Amaju so clad. I could hardly recognize him. I had to take a second look at the picture. I want to thank him for the work he's doing at NFF, the Nigerian Football Federation. There's so much to be done there. I want to assure him of our support going forward. And we thank him for coming and for making a presentation. I have told Amaju that for sports injury, there's a man in my village that can heal bones within 7 minutes. Olu Akpata wanted me to invite the man to make a presentation, but I declined. But Amaju has come to tell us that he has legal representatives in Bain & Co., a very successful law practice out of America, but who, when they operate in Nigeria, are operating as what? Quacks. So Amaju, please do not patronize quacks. If you need lawyers, we have many, and I do not agree that we only have 4 sports lawyers. Anytime you brief a lawyer is not supposed to carry the law in his head. All he needs to do is to know where to find the law. But since only 4 people are engaging actively on that realm, I will encourage more people to engage. And the rules of engagement are very simple. Like, attention was drawn to the fact that you cannot be going to the homes of your clients to take instructions. That is very true. We do not encourage it. In fact, if you do that, I will be the one that will institute disciplinary proceedings against you. But nothing stops you from going to watch a football match. Nothing stops you from going to watch a training session of stores. And that is engagement. As you start to watch them playing, you start to know the players, they start to know you, and it's part of business development. You see, if you make the best mineral drink better than Coca-Cola, and you lock it in your house, you don't put it in the shop shelf, nobody will buy it. So if you read all the law, you know all the law, sports law, contracts, sports injury, you know everything, and you hide in your office waiting for them to come and find you. They may not even know that you exist. But you cannot advertise. So you start to ask yourself, yes, the rules say this, but how do I cross to the next level without breaching the rules? I could have given the answer here, but since an answer that if I give will lead to financial benefit, I will give the answer if you pay my fees. So Amaju, I want to thank you very much. We greatly appreciate the work that you are doing. And the bar is leading several efforts on legislative reform. If there's any work you want us to help you along those lines, feel very free to contact us. I also want to thank Russell Roberts, who again has come out from outside the country to be with us. We thank you very much, and you have been able to throw light on how you have been able to achieve success in this field. And I'll encourage as many of you as are here to get in touch with them and establish some form of contact via email one way or the other so that you can have a knowledge transfer relationship with them. And Rex Nwakodo, sorry. I also thank you very much for your attendance and your insightful presentation. The bar is extremely, extremely grateful. Finally, Charles Igwe, who, as I understand it, is the reason why we have so many home videos to watch here and to export to other countries. He's a major financier in the industry. He's helped to grow that industry, and that industry is something, or one of the things that brings pride and joy to Nigeria and Nigerians wherever you go. Because from one end of the world to the other, they are all watching our movies. And we thank you for the work that you have done. And I want to assure you that the little I have heard here today, I'm really, really, really excited. And I know that we should not drop the ball at this stage. We should not let it get cold. We should pick it up and start running. I don't know how you define entertainment lawyers, but I know normally when the date for payment of some clients comes and they don't pay, I entertain fears. So since I entertain fears, I'm sure I'm an entertainment lawyer. But I think that what we have heard today is not just entertainment, it's a talent-based industry. And I do not want it to get cold. So I want to set up a committee here and now that will pick up from what we have done today and move it to the next level. Luckily, I've looked around the hall and I was saying that Professor Bankole Shodipo is here. Professor, please. The tallest man in the house, Mena Jakwavi. We've been telling Richard, thank you, but Richard, we need you. We need to see your face more. So I have co-opted you into the committee. Yahaya and Ahigbe know obviously that they will be members of the committee. Is Mrs. Sandra Oyewole here? Mrs. Sandra Oyewole, is she here? Oh, she's not in the house. Mrs. Sandra Oyewole is somebody who I understand has done a lot, and she will join the committee. I also want to invite a calm head to be in the committee. And I'd like to invite the chairman of Iwo branch of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mrs. C.J. Aremu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, to be a member of the committee to ensure that at least we don't leave here saying there's no gender balance. Her weight as Senior Advocate has taken out about 4 This committee will help us develop the rules of engagement between Nigerian Bar Association and talent-based industry. Professor Shodipo will chair the committee. Mrs. Aremu will act as the legal advisor to the committee by email, because she's very busy with election petitions now, so she'll not be able to attend. And I have Sheyi Akinwumi in my mind, I have Chijoke Okoli in my mind, Sandra Oyewole, and any other persons that the committee or the professor and madam decide to invite into the committee, to join them in formulating a strategy for engagement between the bar and entertainment, either it is sports, music, arts, literary. Let's have something in place so we can start working. I thank you all very much. By the powers conferred on me, as the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, I hereby inaugurate you as the NBA Committee on Talent-Based Matters. You may please take your seats and schedule your first meeting after this session. At least to get addresses and all of that. I think we've had a very wonderful day. We've had a wonderful time. But we have two persons who have co-chaired who have done so well. They have run a tight session, they run a very interesting session, and they are both committed members of the bar. One of them, you may understand why he was made a chair. The other one, I will tell you why. Dewumi Ogunsoya is very well known to all those in the entertainment industry. He's the chairman of DSTV, and he donated 10 decoders to us. So if you don't win the car, you can win a decoder, and I assure you that DSTV shows the Peugeot advert. So even though you didn't win the car, you can still see the car in the advert if you win the decoder. He's somebody who has also gone into entertainment in his own way, because DSTV has taken us to a very new level. It has, Nigerian kids don't need to go abroad. When they watch cartoon, they start to speak like, you know, they were born there. And it's very good. It's educative. It has virtually everything inside. The only thing we keep appealing to Dewumi is they should find the technology to have pay as you go, pay as you watch. When we pay Dewumi and we go on holidays for 3 months, we come back, the money is gone. We have to pay him again. So Dewumi and the committee led by Professor, please negotiate with them to have pay as you watch television. We thank Dewumi very much. He's been here with us as he always has been at conferences. We believe that the work he has done and he continues to do is for the progress of the bar. And a lot of people do not know that Dewumi carries with him the very, very old tradition of the bar. His father was a past president of the Nigerian Bar Association. And the work that his father has done, he continues to do. We thank you very much. The other person who was your co-chair, Bolaji Ayorinde, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. I think he's the pro-chancellor of the Anglican Communion of Ibadan, and chancellor of one university, either X or 7, I can't remember. He's a proud member of the class of 86 again. He was one of the slimmest members in our class, but now his stomach defines him. And his nickname when we were in school was Oga of Enjoyment. So when we say we're having talent-based Nollywood, I said enjoyment master must be part of it. And I know that he's more engaged in massive recoveries and commercial transactions than entertainment law. His only relationship with entertainment law before today is that he entertains fears too when his clients don't pay on time. I thank you very much, Bolaji, my brother, for the work you have done and you're going to do for the bar. Bolaji leads the bar in many states, doyen of the bar in Lagos. He's also a very active member of the bar in Ibadan, so he doubles from both places. Dewumi got letters of recommendation some time back from Ikorodu, Ikeja, Lagos, and I think the Ifon Abiowo branch. So it shows that the DSTV message is going down. We thank all of you very much. It's been a very, very wonderful session. We'll do this again, and we'll do it better next time. But I want to assure everybody here present, and assure Nkechi that it won't take till September ending before we call on you, because we won't let this go dry. I thank all of you for your listening pleasure. I thank SBL. Where is the chairman of SBL? Where is Aswe? He has gone to pursue money. Vice Chairman, I thank you very much. I thank all of you for your listening pleasures. And I think the session will be closed shortly by the co-chairs so that we can get ready to dance. Thank you very much. I think we're having a musical carnival here with 3 musicians, Korode Bello, Bonner Boy, and is it Chris Daniel or Chris Philip? Kiss Daniel. We should kiss Daniel. That's his name. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, Mr. President. A round of applause for the President of the Bar Association. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no right of reply after the President speaks, so Dewumi cannot explain why he charges so much money. I cannot explain why I was slim before. We shall leave that to another day. Thank you very much for coming, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
It's Young John, the wicked producer.
Hey, yo, more hey, yo, more information, the new radio, the new telly, when the Baba, we the Lubade to get this money today, but every night and day. Baba, we the Lubade, the zero darling, they will not get them all. Oh yeah, Shakiti Bobo, over a Bentley Bobo, over a Ferrari Bobo, fly you to Paris Bobo. Oh yeah, Shakiti Bobo, over a Bentley Bobo, over a Ferrari Bobo, fly you to Paris Bobo. Only that for I was scrap for you. One low yahoo low help me o. Kini mo ya lọ́wọ́ yìí gan kí lẹ́bùn mi o. Ọ̀gá níyà mú dá ọ̀gá dé filẹ̀ fún mi o. Ẹ filẹ̀ fún mi o. I do my thing my way. Go ask your sister. Na me dey give am me. Orin di mítà. Ọ̀gbẹ́ni liver mi. Ṣèfẹ́ gift. Oya ni nínú mi. I want to feel like Bobo, we the Lubade to get this money today, but every night and day. Bobo, we the Lubade, the zero darling, they will not get them all. Oh yeah, Shakiti Bobo, over a Bentley Bobo, over a Ferrari Bobo, fly you to Paris Bobo. Oh yeah, Shakiti Bobo, over a Bentley Bobo, over a Ferrari Bobo, fly you to Paris Bobo. Ìlú ọgbọ́n ni mi ò kí tó ṣì wá wù má kọ́rọ̀ sí mọ́mì mi ò bí mo gàrí kí tó kọ́lé kò lè wọ̀ ní bọ́dì mi ò sọ́gà kúnlẹ̀ ó tún ṣẹ́kù ní bọ́dì mi ò ní bọ́dì mi ò gbàgbé ẹ̀yin bọ̀bọ̀ ẹ̀ dànù ẹ̀yin bọ̀dá dàmú you living flashy lifestyle but your mama dey so kàkàmù. Adékòtè rè brọ̀dá jọ ẹ̀ mọ́wó wálé mo ṣẹlẹ̀ ló ṣe bọ̀ bí ẹlẹ́bí ló mú wálé. Bobo, we wèrè ló bá dé. To get this money today, ball every night and day. Ó bọ̀bọ̀, wèrè ló bá dé. Ìṣirò dọ́lì èmi ò lè nà gẹ̀rẹ̀ mọ́ láyé. Ó yá ṣákìtì bọ̀bọ̀, ó fẹ́ ra Bentley bọ̀bọ̀, ó fẹ́ ra Ferrari bọ̀bọ̀, fly you to Paris bọ̀bọ̀. Ó yá ṣákìtì bọ̀bọ̀, ó fẹ́ ra Bentley bọ̀bọ̀, ó fẹ́ ra Ferrari bọ̀bọ̀, fly you to Paris bọ̀bọ̀.
Okay, that's it, baby, let's do some love tonight. Gift, put up the light, oh. What you want, oh yeah, let's do some love tonight. Yeah, you feel the wind, and the breeze they blow. They enter body, cause I they got you cold, oh yeah, gift, put up the lights. Okay, that's it, baby, let's do some love tonight.
Baby, let's get romantic. Make we solve mathematics. I know you like logistics. We go do some chemistry today. We go scatter the couch. From the couch to the bed. From the bed to the bedroom. Make some sweet movie for jacuzzi. Ooh, say what, say what, say what. I like the way you they put down for me. Yeah, you know what's up. Hey, you they killing me money, guy. Say what, say what, say what. Oh, you link come. Pass me the gonga. Pass me the gonga. Oh, yeah, gift.
Oh, yeah, gift. Put up the lights. Okay, that's it, baby, let's make some love tonight. Gift. Put up the lights. What you want, oh yeah, let's make some love tonight. Yeah, you feel the wind, and the breeze they blow. They enter body, cause I they got you cold. Oh yeah, gift. Put up the lights. Okay, that's it, baby, let's make some love tonight. Oh yeah, take the neck on that. I'm leave me room, kitchen, oh yeah, point and kill. Tonight you feel my skills. Yeah. Gift, you come make I give you a gift. I swear you will love it, the gift. First on your neck I go kiss, then on your waist I go shift. All through the night we repeat. Tonight girl we go do dancing, till I suffer me, till I suffer you. You go speak the truth. You go the cry, yeah. After you take the gift, oh yeah, gift. Put up the lights. Okay, that's it, baby, let's make some love tonight. Gift. Put up the lights, oh. What you want, oh yeah, let's make some love tonight. Yeah, you feel the wind, and the breeze they blow. They enter body, cause I they got you cold, oh yeah, gift.
Moi, baby. Imani killing show. Imani scatter show. Imani want to go. And they want to follow go. I the killing show. I the scatter show. Now me be the cocoa. Sweetie chocolate.
Yes, yes, yes. 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. Yes, yes, yes. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2. Microphone check. 1, 2, 2. 1, 2. Mic check. 1, 2. Hello. Yes, 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 yes. 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 2. Yes, yes, yes. 1, 2.
Now me be the cocoa. Sweetie chocolate. From east to the west. Me a dribble, Daribo west. When I come around, light up the place. Them fi know they can run my race.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. 1, 2, 2. 1, 2. Yeah. Yes, 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 yes. 1, 2, 2, 2. Yes, yes, yes. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Check 1, 2, 2. Are you ready now? Come on, do sound check.